Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of PwC and Wiley, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining our session today, where we will talk about CPA and how this qualification has evolved over the years. My name is Annie, and I have been in the talent and skill industry for over a decade. And the last 5 years, I was with PwC managing all their accounting qualifications like CPA, CMA, CFA, ACCA. If you need any advice on your career path, please feel free to reach out to me. This session will be for about 60 minutes. Joining me today is my colleague Shraddha, who is the CPA program manager with the Academy. She will also be moderating the Q&A session later. We also have with us Rachel, who is the marketing manager across education and test prep products of Wiley. Wiley, as you all know, is a world-class prep provider. Rachel will be telling us more about Wiley and all the brilliant solutions. We also have with us today Dr. Jenny, who is a qualified CPA, MIM, and PhD. She's a Wiley instructor, is an international consultant, and an educator providing instructions and training to students in the United States and across the world. Post this presentation, we will have a Q&A session where we will answer all your questions. So you can post all your questions in the chat box below. And, you can keep typing it as and when it comes to your mind. And, towards the end of the session, we'll take all the questions one by one. Okay, clear? Am I audible? Is there anything you want to say? Please post it in the chat box. Brilliant. So let's start where, I will tell you a little bit about PwC before I hand it over to the other panelists here. So PwC Academy is the talent and skill development business of PwC. Globally, we have more than 40 academies. And in the Middle East, we have offices in Qatar, US, Jordan, Oman, Lebanon, and of course the UAE. We take pride in growing and developing the talent across the region. The Academy pass rate for all professional qualifications are significantly higher than the global average. We offer training in accounting, human resources, tax, and digital space. We have tie-ups with all the renowned professional bodies across the globe. We have a long partnership with Wiley, who provide us with solutions for CPA, CMA, CIA, and many more qualifications. I will now hand it over to Rachel, who will tell you a little bit more about Wiley and their solutions. Over to you, Rachel.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here to chat about the importance of CPA prep and the CPA Evolution in partnership with PwC's Academy. Thanks to you and to Dr. Jeannie Yamamura for joining us. A little bit about Wiley. We've helped learners access the tools, content, and resources they need to develop the skills and knowledge for success for about 215 years now. Our mission is to deliver learning solutions and certification programs to help professionals like you in business, finance, and accounting close the widening skills gap and build fulfilling career journeys. So you'll hear a little bit about CPA prep materials today, but just for reference, we also offer CFA, CMA, CFP, CMT, and a lot of other exam review courses, as well as publish official curricula for the CFA Institute, the KAIA Association, and the CMT Association. So a little bit of alphabet soup, but a lot going on. Good things. So next slide, please. Wonderful. Some fast facts about how Wiley operates. So we've got over 40 training provider partners around the world, PwC's Academy Middle East, of course, being one of them. Over 140 corporate and firm partners where we help employees upskill and pass the CPA exam. And we've also helped over 1 million Wiley Efficient Learning users pass their challenging accounting, finance, technology, and admissions exams. So we look forward to helping you too alongside PwC's Academy's expert trainers. Next slide, please. So Wiley's Efficient Learning Platform is an award-winning education technology solution designed for online test preparation and professional development courses. We update our prep materials annually, especially for CPA. So you know you're using the most current study content when working with PwC's Academy instructors. We also give you full-length mock exams, which you'll hear about later, and some assessment questions, so there are no surprises on exam day. That's a huge benefit. So I'm excited to share some more about that. Next slide, please. Here briefly, you'll see all of our current exam prep and skill development solutions we offer to both individual students and our training provider partners across business, finance, and accounting. So we do partner with PwC's Academy on a number of them, and we offer some courses together, which in turn help people pass their exams in an expedited way. But more importantly, let's get to the CPA evolution. So Jeannie, I'll hand things over to you now.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to be here today and to give you all some information about the big changes coming up in the CPA exam. The CPA Evolution was announced in 2020 with the approval of a new licensure model. The AICPA and NASBA were concerned about the knowledge and skills needed by new CPAs. The new CPA exam, which becomes effective January 1st, 2024, addresses those concerns. Next slide, please. Why were they concerned? The AICPA conducts a practice analysis on a regular basis to make sure that they know the skills and knowledge needed by newly licensed CPAs. They want to be sure that the CPA exam is testing those knowledge and skills. The 2019 practice analysis revealed that technology was dramatically affecting the profession. These effects were significant. They affected every professional service area, from audit planning and execution to tax compliance and planning, to the very nature of professional services being offered. The conclusion reached was that the current CPA licensure model was no longer appropriate and big changes were needed. Next slide, please. The result was a redesign of the licensure model. Under this new model, all candidates will be required to complete 3 core areas and will then choose a 4th discipline area. First, the core areas. The Accounting and Data Analytics core addresses basic accounting and financial reporting knowledge and skills. A heavy dose of data analytics appears here that includes data cleanup and transformation, data mining, and data visualization. The Audit and Accounting Information Systems core encompasses the knowledge and skills needed to perform audits and other engagements under the AICPA and PCAOB standards. The Tax core looks at the knowledge and skills needed to provide the tax services under the requirements of the Internal Revenue Code. So, do these sound familiar? These are the revamped versions of FAR, OD, and REG. Now, the revamp has also added technology considerations to each of these 3 core sections. Next slide, please. So the discipline areas are intended to help candidates specialize, ideally in areas that they're interested in. So tax compliance and planning tests knowledge and skills in more complex tax areas and adds tax planning and personal financial advisory services. Business analysis and reporting incorporates more complex transactions, reporting, and data analysis, and then throws in cost accounting and planning, as well as employee benefit plans. Information systems and controls incorporates a host of information system and information technology topics, including IT governance, tests of controls, SOC engagements, information security, data governance, and use. Now, the candidates are only allowed to select one discipline area. They can change their minds while studying, but once a discipline area is passed, that's it. Next slide, please. One problem is that the CPA exam blueprint, which identifies exactly what will be tested and how it will be tested, this new blueprint will not be finalized until January 1st of next year. Now, there is an exposure draft that's due out next month, and we are really waiting anxiously for that exposure draft. But what we have now is the model curriculum. And the model curriculum came out last June. It lays out the topics and learning objectives for each of the 6 exam sections. Next slide, please. So what has changed? Some topics, including more complex topics, have been moved to the discipline areas. Some topics appear to be discarded. For example, business law. We're not concerned that business law is going away, or I'm sorry, we're not convinced that business law is going away completely because it ends up being foundational knowledge. So for example, you can't talk about different types of tax entities unless you understand the different types of entities that can be created. BEC topics have been redistributed throughout the core and discipline areas. And then new topics have been added. For example, XBRL, which is a markup language used to standardize reporting of financial information, for example, XBRL, which is a markup language used to standardize reporting of financial information by businesses. And then a big addition is technology, which they have tried to integrate throughout all 6 areas. It is highlighted in each of the core areas through a section called Digital Acumen, which looks at the ability to recognize, learn, and apply digital tools and technologies. Next slide, please. So let's take a closer look so you can have a better idea of what these changes look like. So in FAR, for example, they will be testing governmental accounting at a very basic level. For FAR, you need to understand the different bases of accounting followed by fund versus government-wide financial statements. The preparation of those 2 types of financial statements under the different bases of accounting have been moved to BAR, the discipline area. In REG, they will be testing knowledge of, for example, net operating losses. At the discipline level, the TCP section, they will be looking at transactions between shareholders and corporations. And notice as well, under REG, you see it says explain and calculate net operating losses using appropriate tax preparer technology. So remember I said they have strewn technology throughout all of the sections, and this is one of the ways that they're sort of referring to the fact that you use tax software to prepare tax returns these days. In AUD, they are testing your ability to perform an audit of the financial statements. The discipline area, ISC, moves beyond audits of financial statements to focus on information systems and includes testing your ability to perform a SOC engagement. So in other words, they have moved the more complex areas to the discipline sections. So they've also added new content to the discipline areas. In BAR, for example, they've added an understanding of emerging frameworks, including sustainability. TCP now incorporates individual tax planning, including tax minimization strategies and the development of holistic financial plans, which address both personal and business goals. In ISC, we see added coverage of information security and privacy frameworks. Next slide, please. Which brings us to the transition policy. What happens if you have completed some, but not all 4 parts by the end of 2023? If a candidate has passed ODD, FAR, or REG, the candidate gets credit for the new ODD, FAR, or REG. Now here's the biggie. If a candidate has passed BEC, the candidate gets to pick the discipline area that will be credited. So you get to choose from BAR, ISC, or TCP. So depending on the section needed, you will either take the new version or will select one of the new discipline areas. And remember, the more difficult material has been moved to the discipline sections. Next slide, please. Which means this is a great time to study for and pass the CPA exam, but especially BEC. So Wiley CPA Exam Review and the PwC Academy can help you successfully tackle and pass all 4 parts of the exam, including BEC. Our study materials include bite-sized lessons that are easy to digest and remember, a customizable study plan and lesson pages, ongoing updates so you don't have to worry when they come out with new pronouncements or other testable changes, access to more than 12,000 test questions, and unlimited practice exams. Now, we've also added, it doesn't show on the slide here, but we've also added the score predictor. So this monitors your performance on the lessons and assessments and then estimates your score for the exam, for the exam or by topic. So you can get a feel for whether you're in passing range or need to hit some topics again. Now, we recognize that everyone studies and learns in different ways. So to meet your individual needs, we offer video lectures, deep dives, and solution videos. In print form, we have study guides, we have flashcards, we have knowledge checks. There is a student discussion group that you could join if you were interested in talking to others, although you'll have your PwC classes. And then exams in CPA exam format and functionality. And then there is also a final review that called the 11th Hour, which is a week-long study course that helps you kind of review hot topics again and do a practice exam. Next slide, please. So to give you an idea of our customizable lessons, each lesson contains learning objectives, a video introduction, and a study guide. The study guide is kind of like a textbook, but much more condensed. You know, it is a summary only of key points. Now, then you have the ability to add as needed flashcards, knowledge checks, printable slides, and notes. And these supplemental materials are helpful when you're studying difficult topics, but you may not need them for the easier lessons. So these are the study materials that you have available to you. I'll turn you over now to Annie, who will explain how the Academy study program incorporates these materials while providing hands-on support to enable you to pass the CPA exam. And over to you, Annie.
Okay. Can you hear me? Good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. So I'm sure all the participants have a lot of questions. Thank you so much, Jenny, for taking us through the entire journey, the revamp that's happened, what's going to happen. I'm sure all the students have a lot of questions. So keep posting all your questions in the Q&A, and we will take all of them one by one. So I'll just quickly brief you through how we at PwC Academy will deliver this program. So we have our classes that we deliver as live online classes. You will have similar experience like what you're having right now. It would be on a platform quite similar to this. All the classes are going to be recorded. So you join the class on a Saturday, you can see that same class probably, on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, keep listening to it as a podcast when you're driving, so that, things remain in your head, and all these things will help in recall and retention during your exams. With the support of Wiley, we have the complete package. We will give you all the quizzes, flashcards, question banks, mock exams, everything would be there. We would also be giving you a summarized PwC notes, which would be like a brief on each and every topic, what's to be done, what's not to be done, everything, all you need to do or prepare in terms of revision. You will also get the opportunity to do a one-on-one doubt clearance with the trainer. So half an hour before the class starts, half an hour after the class is over, the trainer will be there to address all your questions and doubts. If you need any time with the trainer over and above this, you can always schedule a one-on-one with the trainer. We will also be giving all of you all a platform, which is like a learning management system, which will have all these sessions, recordings of the sessions, the resources, and everything would be there. And moving on, I don't have to speak much about the CISCO Webex training, because it will be quite like this. It will have the breakout rooms. You will have a lot of engaging games, to just make it easy. And the way we teach is we use a method called PwMac, which is presenting to understand, memorize, and answer questions. So when the trainer is teaching, you will be able to understand the concept. You will be able to memorize it there, because, lots of storytellings and, linking it to actual stories. And you also be able to really answer questions, because understanding a concept is one thing and answering a question or, exam scenario is something else. We will give you practice for everything. We will also be giving you close to 60 hours of tuition sessions, Wiley online books, participant guides, online access to progress test, handouts, PwC summarized notes. I've spoken about all this. Yes, another big question is PwC Academy will also guide you. A is to check on your eligibility. We will also support you with NASBA, AICPA registration, which jurisdiction, everything, all the way up to you getting a license to practice in US. So for that, all you have to do is send me, I will share my contact details as well, your detailed transcript. It has to be in a clear PDF, because, it's a guarantee that we are giving you. Don't take a picture and, just forward it. Send it as a clear document, because only then there are many people, many rounds of check that takes place, and only then do we confirm your eligibility. So please send a clear copy to us, and we will help you, support you, and guide you with your eligibility, jurisdiction, and everything. I think I've spoken about everything. You can come and use the academy, PwC's academy, the state-of-art classrooms that we have, the library. We help with a lot of internship opportunities, graduate recruitment opportunities. You will learn from, PwC consultants, trainers. You will get invited for a whole lot of alumni network, what's new, all the mega trends, everything. You will get access to all that. To enroll with us, our next class starts on 23rd of July. If you sign up for the full course, you will be paying 17,500 dirhams. You have the option of paying in 6 equal installments if you allow us to set up an auto debit on your credit cards. You can also choose to pay per part, like you could turn around and say, you know what, I've done for, I only want to, enroll for reg or beg. Feel free to choose or pay one part at a time. Our trainer is Alka Kothari. She's been with the academy for over 4 years right now. She's an international trainer. She's training all our internal staff as well. You know, internally we have a lot of people that we train apart from, you know, the public that generally joins us for our open courses. So she's been with the academy. She's got excellent results. You will really love her style of teaching. Is there any other question? Shraddha, can we open all the questions? Can we take all the questions? I'm sure there's a lot of questions, Jenny. There's a lot of questions for me, Rachel, Shraddha herself. Feel free to post it here. We'll take it one by one and we'll answer all your questions.
Okay. Is someone going to feed us the questions or?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
just going to pick the questions from chat. So there's one of our colleagues who's on this call. They've asked that he's a senior accounting student and he wants to know whether he can begin to take some part of the CPA exam before graduation. So it's more of an eligibility question.
Yeah. So unless you've completed your bachelor's, I don't think you will have the necessary credit hours to take the take the exam. So you can start preparing for it, but your NTS, which is notice to schedule the exam, will only come after you've submitted your bachelor's, got the necessary credits, and, you know, registered with AICPA.
Yeah, Annie, this is an area that has been changing, and I do think that in most jurisdictions, the minimum required is a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
But it has been changing to allow candidates to sit before they have completed the 150. And so that has become fairly widespread, and they are allowing people to sit before they have completed the 150. They have to have met certain other requirements, and typically a bachelor's degree is in there along with,
Yeah.
but they are allowing them to sit before they have completed the 150. And you just have to be really, really careful because each jurisdiction could require, could have different requirements about the completion of the 150. For example, they could say that it has to be completed, within 6 months of the exam or something like that. And so you don't want to fall afoul of those requirements.
Right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. I think the cutoff is 120 credits to take the exams, but then, by the time you're applying for your license, you must have your 150. So we will help you, guide you, support you. Just send us your transcripts and we'll see if there's a loophole, if there's a way around it. We can take the exam in one jurisdiction and then, do a jurisdiction change and, apply for license, in another state. So we can help you with that. You'll have to send your transcript across. But yes, you must have at least a minimum 120. If there's any change, we'll let you know.
Great. Another question that one of the students have asked is, do you need to finish all 4 modules or just one? It is, I believe, all the 4 modules along with the disciplines, Jeannie?
Oh, in the new exam, you'll still be taking 4 parts, but the 4 parts will be different. There'll be the 3 new versions of odd, far, and reg, and then the 4th part you will select from one of the discipline areas. If you sit now under the old model, you'll be taking 4 parts, and those 4 parts will be odd, far, reg, and BEC.
Great.
So Jenny, can I just for my understanding as well, can I say the odd, far, and reg continues? What has changed, of course, with the change in the curriculum, what has changed is instead of BEC, they have 3 options, of which they do any one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I do want to, that is absolutely correct. I do want to sort of emphasize that these are new versions of odd, far, and reg. Yeah. But yeah, BEC has disappeared. They took it apart. Remember, BEC covered all those different topics. BEC was the grab bag of everything else. And they have distributed them throughout all 6 sections.
Right. And Jenny, it's
Yes.
a question from me. We'll take all the questions. Like, you've seen the content. How is it? Like, is it like more exhaustive, or is it little more condensed and easier to pass? Like, what would you say? What would be your professional?
Well,
Because I'll
yeah,
be asked these questions a lot,
no,
so
I
I'm
know,
posting it.
and it's hard to it would be great if I could just say yes, the new versions of odd, far, and reg are easier, right? Because the easier material stayed in there, but they added new material. They added all the data analytics.
Oh,
They've added things in there, and so yeah, they've kept the easier, like the governmental example that I gave you. You
right.
just need to understand the difference between accrual and modified accrual basis of accounting, so that what kind of accounting is used in the governmental financial statements, and then you actually have to be able to prepare them in the new discipline. So in general, I would say the discipline areas are harder, because
Okay.
that's where they've moved the more complex material. But I can't say definitively that the remaining odd, far, and reg, or that the new odd, far, and reg are easier, because they have tweaked them a little bit.
Okay. And they've made it more relevant to today's time, is what I feel like, like real
Well,
life scenarios.
they have tried to. They have, number one, they felt that they were continuing to add more and more topics as they came out with new standards, as they came out with new, IRS regulations. They kept adding more stuff, and they never took anything away. And so as a result, they were testing more and more material at without, necessary a benefit. So they have tried to, and they felt that they weren't testing things that they really needed to test. And because technology, if you think about it, accounting is now software, right? And for auditing, you can download all of the transactions for the whole year, and do data analytics. So things have changed so much, and so they wanted to acknowledge that, and make the materials that were being tested, make the topics that were being tested more relevant to our new CPAs, and then. But then the other thing that they've tried to do, and we'll see how successful they've been, is that they've also tried to incorporate a looking forward. So they've added emerging technologies all over the place, so that we are looking ahead to see what's changing, and not just saying, no, this is the way we test, and we're always just going to test this way.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Jeannie. We have a question if there are any exemptions for the CPA exam if you have a CMA or an ACCA.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah,
Good.
no.
We've got a question from Abdul Rahman saying, I have a bachelor's degree in finance. Can I sit the exam?
I would just say send across your transcripts to us. We will get it reviewed, because every college has a different curriculum, different credit hours, points, subjects, depth. So we'll have, it's a very individual review that we'll have to do. There's no one answer that fits all. So you'll have to send it across to us.
Yeah, the requirements really can vary, and the degree that you obtain. Some finance degrees require all the way up through intermediate accounting, and some do not. And so a transcript review really will be needed, and a very individual analysis of your particular situation. But having a finance degree does not keep you from taking the exam.
And Jeannie, another student has asked, what happens if I pass the BEC exam before 2024?
Then you are in the perfect world where you get to select from one of the discipline areas. You can pick the advanced FAR course, which is BAR. You can pick the advanced tax course, which is TCP, or you can pick the advanced audit course, which is the information systems course. So you get to choose one of those to get credit for. And note that, the CPA license will not say this was the specialized area that the candidate selected. It's just going to say CPA.
Right. Tamar has a question that when she graduated at the time in Georgia, they didn't have a credit system. So what will be the case in that case?
They didn't have a credit in terms of units per class taken?
Tamar, for your question, the thing is NASBA is the one who actually allocates credit to your degree. So even if I don't think there's a credit system, they are kind of going to review your transcripts and give you credits for the transcript based on their evaluation system. I think just only because I've just seen a lot of transcripts and eligibility coming in, I'm just assuming this is exactly what you are trying to get the question answered for.
Right. Shraddha is absolutely right. We've seen transcripts in different languages from all across the world, but NASBA has a way of awarding credits. I don't know how they do it, but they have a way to check eligibility or award equivalency. So as long as we get their certificate saying it's all good, we're good to go. So we'll help you with that. I think, Tamar, I've sent your documents across. I'm just waiting to hear from them. Probably in the next couple of days, you should hear something.
I see a lot of questions regarding eligibility for transcript submission. So in the last slide at the end of the presentation, we've got Annie's details in. If you are able to send in your transcripts to Annie, then she can kind of get a detailed eligibility check for each one of you, because of course we understand the degrees are from different countries, different studies, different topics. So each of your, based on your degree, we can actually advise on a very one-on-one basis whether you're actually eligible for doing the CPA. And to answer Vandana's question, Vandana, I don't think work experience counts into eligibility to give the exam. And in terms of, is CPA country specific or can I practice in any country? This is a question I'm a bit too unsure.
The CPA license is provided for a given jurisdiction. So for example, the state of California might award a CPA license to a candidate. And then where CPA mobility exists, the CPA would be able to practice in other jurisdictions depending on the nature of the services being offered, without practice without having to register or get approval from another jurisdiction. But and so that normally is across the United States. I don't know that there's CPA mobility internationally. Annie, maybe you have a better idea.
Yeah. I'll tell you how, because, we are in a region like UAE, right? We have companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google that are US based. So all of them would want CPAs, but companies that are headquartered in Europe, like an HSBC or something, would all look for an ACCA. So if you have a CPA, as long as it's an American company, all across the world, you can go and you will be like a hot cake, like you will get a very good job.
I think one of our last questions is, if I pass all the 3 exams within the 18-month period and one exam can't be passed, what about the other 3 exams?
That's where the transition plan comes into effect. If you have passed odd, far, or reg, you will get credit for the new ones. And then you'll just have to select a discipline area and take that 4th exam. If you have passed, if the one that you haven't passed, if you've passed BEC and 2 of the others, then you get credit for the other 2. For BEC, you get to pick the discipline area that you get credit for, and then you would have to take the new version of whatever the 4th one is that you still had remaining.
Right. All right. I think that kind of brings us to the end of the questions. Now, before we kind of go through giving in Annie's details, we just request 2 minutes of everyone's time to fill in the feedback form. I am putting a link to the form in the chat box as well. And you can scan the QR code. I'm just going to give it another minute and then move on to our last segment, which is Annie's details. So for anyone looking to send in your transcripts for eligibility or any other questions regarding the CPA, Annie and myself would be the people to reach.
Feel free to send me your transcript, WhatsApp me, call me. I'll be happy to take all your questions. Our next batch starts on 23rd of July. We have enough time to work on your eligibility, check if everything is okay for you to enroll and start your CPA journey. Any other questions after the session? Also, let me know. I'll take all your questions. Have we missed any questions, Shraddha? Have we answered all the questions?
Yes, I was just having
Perfect.
a look through. I think we got most of the questions answered. It's mainly people, there are quite a few questions on eligibility, which I think is a very one-on-one advising
Correct.
that they can send you the transcripts in.
Perfect. Sounds right.
You know, Annie, I was thinking some more about your question about, going forward. Are they easier? Are they harder? I think the section that changed the least is probably reg.
Okay.
And then, followed by odd and then far.
Okay.
But, reg is one of the ones that tends to be more difficult for our international candidates. And maybe you've
Right.
seen that in helping people because of our lovely Internal Revenue Code. which
Right.
was not developed logically.
Yeah.
But all right.
We've got a last question, sorry.
That's right.
If it's recommended to first complete your CMA and then enroll for CPA, or does the material overlap? And if any, which parts?
Okay, I had a couple of scenarios in this question. So can I take it, Jenny?
Please do.
Yeah, so there were some students who had done CMA, and unfortunately, NASPA did not recognize the credits for CMA. So it doesn't really help. So both of them have to be looked at as completely independent qualifications, because CPA will not count CMA credit hours for eligibility or anything. Does that answer the question?
Annie, I think there's also a question about topic coverage and whether there was overlap. And you would be more familiar with this, but the CMA does spend time, on financial and cost accounting and managerial accounting. Yes. And then, and so that material, potentially is covered again in the CPA exam, although perhaps the cost accounting and managerial accounting are covered much more heavily in CMA.
Right. So CMA part 1 is, let's say like an overlap, whereas part 2 is more of finance. So there is an overlap, yeah, but then it doesn't really help if you're doing it towards building your credits for CPA.
Yeah, I remember finance used to appear in BEC, or currently appears in BEC, and it sort of it's going away as a separately tested topic. in the new exam. There are pieces of it that, will show up in one of the areas, in some of the other areas. So for example, time value of money, ends up appearing in FAR.
Okay.
And right. And so, but that's why I said they cut up all the BEC material. So it's still there, but again, it's not going to, you're absolutely right, Annie. It's not the same coverage that currently appears in the CMA exam.
Perfect. Anything else? Any other question?
Nope. I think that's about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate your support and the time that you spent with us. We are very happy to answer all your questions after this session also. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Shraddha, for joining us. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Luck in your
Bye-bye.
studies.
Yes. Good luck, everyone. Bye-bye.